Hello, back again with more ancient cosmography. Um, let's see. So I'm looking into this Red Hand of Ulster. It seems that, the famous story is that two people or giants are trying to become Lord of Ireland, and whichever touches it with his hand first wins. So they're neck and neck, so one cuts off his hand and throws it at the shore and thereby becomes Lord of Ireland. In this mural, it labels the giant as Finn McCool. So anyway, it seems to be that this is his arm, that Finn McCool is actually Britain or part of Britain or something like that. And his arm is this Scottish peninsula of Argyll, and his hand is the Antrim Hills. And let's see. And then I figured it out using this 5,500-year-old avatar of Britain, which shows Britain as holding Ireland, holding the Outer Hebrides as a club, and holding Ireland seemingly with the same arm, with Argyll Peninsula right there as the arm, and Wales here as his harness that's attached to Leinster, and then Ulster, Connacht, and Munster as the three heads of these three hostages. And so his hand would be right there on an Antrim. So right there, basically. So, looking at this and then looking at this, looking at Google Earth, led me to realize that this could relate to the Red Hand of Ulster, as an Ulster Scot and Ulster, history and culture enthusiast. I'm aware of the story. And so I managed to seemingly piece it together. And so, and then Finn McCool would make sense if Finn is Britain or part of Britain or even the entire British Isles, because Britain was always called the White Island in every language, basically, like in Latin and Greek, and then even the Scots themselves used the Latin and Greek name for Britain, meaning white, Alba, and Finn means white in Gaelic, so that would make sense that it would be its name. And then in Egyptian, it was also called the White Islands, which is Sekemi in ancient Egyptian. So yeah, it makes sense. And so I'm just kind of looking into it further. There's a version of the story where they say not only did he threw his hand across there onto the Ulster shore, and it left a red mark on the rocks. That's one of the versions of the story. So I looked around for something that could be that, and I found this reddish brown Antrim Hills, which I increased the saturation to increase the redness on this photo, but it's sort of like a reddish brown color. Let's see. And more reason to think that, like the Finn McCool is, one of the most important kind of legendary figures of the Irish, and kind of has come to represent Irishness. And so even to call oneself Fenian, or to call somebody Fenian, can mean that they're Irish. Or it can even be a political thing and mean they're a nationalist or a Republican or whatever. But ironically, Finn might actually be Britain. And Finn is not an Irish, it's not a peculiarly Irish tradition. The traditions of Finn McCool were prevalent throughout, certainly at least throughout the Irish Sea, on both sides, like in the Isle of Man and in Scotland. So and I don't see any indication in those traditions that he's associated specifically with Ireland as opposed to Britain. So, for instance, in Scotland, on the Isle of Staffa, is Fingal's Cave. And so that's the Scottish name for Finn, is Fingal. And so, this, I think, helps support the idea that Finn is either Britain or the entire British Isles, or, I guess possibly a part of Britain. But I think more likely he's either Britain or the whole British Isles. Fingal's Cave. I think Fingal's Cave is where, who was it that hid out there? Bonnie Prince Charlie or something. I don't know. I think there was maybe a few people that famously hid in Fingal's Cave, like outlaws or whatnot. So Fingal's Cave is like right, it's like right there. So it's well away from Ireland. It's well into the Inner Hebrides. And it's interesting the fact that historically, like in ancient times, the hand of Ulster, which is, you can see right here, just the outline of it, the thumb and the fingers here, the hand and the arm were the same kingdom. It's called Sinel Gabran or something. Khalil Gibran. Anyway, it's like, so this is all, I think, the overall realm of Dalriada. But then even the specific sub-kingdom, which I think this was the sub-kingdom that ruled this whole area for much of the time. But it was based in Argyll. It was based in I think it was based in Kintyre or Knapdale. And it ruled over, Antrim, the Antrim area here, and also the whole Argyll area. So, that makes sense why, if this was all even one political unit, that would even maybe further bolster the idea that it was all one, represented as one sort of anthropomorphic avatar. And 420. Nice. Let's see. So, possible origins. Those involved in the Bardic dispute of 1689 claimed that the red hand symbol came from a legendary ancestor who put his blood-stained hand on a banner after victory in battle. So that could still overlap with the same story of the giant in a sense, in that you have a battle, you have a contest between these two figures, and you have one of them, and the one who's the victor puts his red hand and makes a mark on the rocks, and then you could say that the hills of Antrim itself could be his banner. So that could definitely overlap. You know, it's certainly, you know, the fact that it's a blood-stained hand, the fact that he's making a mark of it on something fully matches with the version where the giant makes his hand leaves a bloody mark on the hills. And if, you know, like if a peninsula can be an arm, then the hills can be a banner. Diarmid Mac Anbaird claimed that Conall Cernach, a mythical Ulaid hero from the Ulster cycle, put his bloodied hand on a banner as he avenged the death of Cuchulainn, another mythical Ulaid hero. So Cuchulainn, I think, is Venus. So that could very well tie into a totally, you know, symbolic system like this as well. And it has belonged to the descendants of Conall since then. This, he says, is backed up by medieval texts such as the Slr and the Slr. Ewan O'Donnell, basing his tale on the Leber Gabala Aaron, claimed that after the Milesians defeated the Tuatha De Danann, they are granted 3 precious objects, among them a banner bearing the red hand. So this could mean that when the Milesians, like the Irish, took over Ireland from whoever was previously there, that they learned this, you know, this legend, this kind of avatar tradition from whoever was previously there, maybe the Egyptians or people that were more closely related to these ancient Egyptians who made this. Let's see. This banner eventually ended up without contest in the hands of the descendants of Mil's son Aramon, from whom Conn of the 100 Battles and thus the O'Neills are said to descend. So, I mean, there's a lot of clans in Ireland that are said to descend from this or that person, but some of the people they might be said to descend from might actually just be gods and not actual real people. So it's more like it's like if you're a son of Aaron, right? That means you're an Irish person, but it doesn't mean your mother or father is actually the island of Ireland. It's just a phrase. So the surviving texts of the Leber Gabala Aaron mention 4 treasures, but not a banner. Neil McMurray claimed that when the 3 Collas defeated the Ulaid, that one of the Collas placed their bloodied hand on a banner taken from them. He then states that Clan Domhnall have used the symbol within his own time, and accepts the poem Lam Erin I Iriach. However, according to historian Gordon O'Ryan, MacMuride has mistaken the I'm just like not trying to pronounce this right because I have no idea how any of this is pronounced, element to mean the descendants of Echu Dolmlin, father of the Collas, when in fact it is in reference to Echu Koba, legendary ancestor of the McGinnises. Historian Francis J. Bigger notes that use of a right hand by the O'Neills around 1335 and surmises it may have been for them a single symbol signifying divine assistance and strength. whilst also suggesting that the ancient Phoenicians may have brought the symbol to Ireland. In medieval Irish literature, several real and legendary kings were given the byname Red Hand or Red-Handed to signify that they were great warriors. One is the mythical High King of Ireland, Lugaid Lamderg, Lugaid the Red-Handed, who, according to Eugene O'Curry, is cited in one Irish legend as being king of the Cruithin of Ulaid during the reign of the mythical Concobar Macnessa. The O'Neills believed in the Middle Ages that a messianic red-handed king called Eod Ingech would come to lead them and drive the English out of Ireland. In a 1901 edition of the All Ireland Review, a writer called M.M. suggests that the Red Hand is named after the founder of the Clanna Rudraig, Rudraig MacSithrigi, and that Rudraig's name may mean red wrist. So, I mean, that could be the red wrist there, maybe. In another edition, a YM suggests likewise, arguing that Rudraig's name means red arm. They also suggest that the Croeb Ruad, red branch, of ancient Ulaid may actually come from Croeb and Ruad, red hand. And that's the same root as my name, Rowan, is red. So the Ulster cycle, basically all the ancient traditions of Ulster are named this. They're usually translated as the red branch or the Ulster cycle, but their real name may be just the red hand. In another legend which has become widespread, the first man to lay his hand on the province of Ulster would have claim to it. As a result, the warriors rushed towards land, with one chopping off his hand and throwing it over his comrades, and thus winning the land. In some versions of the tale, the person who cuts off his hand belongs to the O'Neills or is Niall of the 9 hostages. So there's the 3 hostages right there. So we're already in the same, milieu of mythology. In other versions, the person is the mythical Aramon.